So, welcome back to Learning Python in one sitting. Um, Yesterday, we went through part one and some of part two, just like the introduction. Um, just a refresher, we're building the ground layer, the roots of ChatGPT, where if you put in a bunch of text, like hopefully you like put in an essay here, um, then we'll create a dictionary based on your corpus of text, and then you can generate text of a specified length using the probabilities from the inputted corpus text. If that sounds complicated, that's okay because I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to build it. And trust me, it is not as complicated as you think. So, really just strap in. If you need to watch the last video, go watch the last video. But a reminder is that this website, okay, a reminder is that this website is in the description. So just click on the link and then you'll be able to follow along with what I'm doing. So, boom, let's just get into it. So, we did part one yesterday, and now we are on to sort of the second half of part two, where last time we looked at variables and numbers as atomic units of code. And this time, just another type of an atomic unit or another type of variable, if that analogy doesn't help you. Um, you know, there's more than just numbers in code you saw in the final project. We need to be able to work with words, especially if we're going to put in one of our essays. And so there's a thing called strings in Python. And a string is just the name for when you have a variable that is saving a word. Um, so before I was like x equals 7, like in math. But now I want to do, like if I have a variable called sport, I can't 7 is not going to work for me. I need to save something like basketball. Or for breakfast, I ate 7 pancakes. And notice there is a 7 in here, but as long as it's wrapped in quotes, then it's a string. And so a cool thing here is that you can, it's called concatenating strings, which is basically just adding them together. So Josh plus Mayor equals Josh Mayer. Hopefully that's pretty intuitive. And so boom, on to our first challenge, writing some code. Um, Also should be pretty easy, I hope. I'm not going to do... Okay, so boom, go ahead, do it. All right, come back, good. Nice job writing your name in Python. Um, Great. Okay, so moving on to sort of more interesting things with strings. So any string in Python... oh no, this is not formatted. Okay, look at it this way. So any string in Python inherently and automatically has something called index values. So every letter in a string has its own index. The first letter is 0, the second letter is 1, and then all the way up, every letter has its own number corresponding. And the reason that is helpful is because if you have a string like basketball and you want to just grab a letter out of that string, you can you have the name of the variable. So earlier we had sport equals basketball. And then now we have sport with the brackets. So these brackets, and then you put in the index that you want to grab. So you could put in any number, right, 0 to 9, given there's 10 letters in basketball. So 8 would give me the second to last L. 7 gives me that A, right? So why don't you give it a try to get the third letter? Okay, nice job. um, Great. So that is taking one letter out of a string, which will be helpful later in our project. If you can think sort of how that might be helpful as we uh, manipulate some strings. Okay, so what if you wanted to grab more than one letter at a time? So similar bracket notation. Um, you have the name of the variable, brackets, and then you have the start index and the end index. So it's maybe not as hard as it looks. Really, you're just, okay, I have this word and I have the index values that Python is keeping track for me. So if 2 is my starting index, or 3 is my starting index, 5 is the ending index, I just go from 3, 4, and then the hard part here is that it does not count 5. So it goes 3 and 4, and then I hit 5, and boom, I'm done. So it would be K and E. So let's just see here. Exactly. So if I change this to 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 I don't care about. I don't like it. So it would be ket ba. Great. Okay. So now why don't you write some code to output ball bow. Okay. Great job. Let's see. That should be sport of brackets, and then so the starting index is the B, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the ending index is 6, 7, 8, 9. We don't want this last L, so we can put 9. Oh, great. Nice. 6, 9. Okay. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Okay. So that is really what it takes to create a variable that stores a word or multiple words, like a sentence. And so no matter how many letters you type, Python will keep track of the index numbers for you. So I'm assuming that this is 15 letters long. So, right, that's probably this Y is the 15th letter. So, Python does it all for you, which is pretty cool. Great. Okay, so we're just building these fundamentals here as we go along. And so more and more, we're going to, as you lay this foundation of fundamentals, we're going to be able to start building our AI clone, ChatGPT Lite Mini. Okay, so a bonus here. Not super duper important for our clone, but a super simple concept that I just had to put in here because it's like the big three of different types of variables. So we talked about numbers first. We just talked about strings or words and sentences. And then the third one is called a Boolean. And, a number could be any number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, any number. A word can be any word. But a Boolean is simply true or false. Just the word true or the word false. So you can see right here, so this is helpful for if you're making a variable called is dark mode enabled, where I only care if it's true or false. And so the way you do it is just by literally the word false, but with a capital F. It's the only important thing there. And then a quick thing is if you were to wrap this in quotes, then this becomes a string, right? Because anything wrapped in quotes becomes a string. So maybe a little gotcha, but right, a Boolean is really just a variable that stores true or false. And if I delete the quotes here, then now is Josh cool is variable. So yeah, maybe we'll change that to false. Okay, great. So those are variables. We've covered now the big three of types of variables, which is the absolute foundation for building any project in Python. There are so many variables here. Current word equals, that's a variable. Text equals, that's a variable. So you'll see more and more there are other types of things we have to go over, but those are the absolute building blocks for what we want to do. So we're getting a lot closer if we look at our outline. We'll move on to functions, and that we are very, very close to actually writing the first lines of code that will build our AI clone. So hopefully you learned a little bit. I'm trying to be very quick with these videos, and I'll see you tomorrow as we make progress and actually hopefully start writing some more code, because we do got to cover that foundation. Okay, sweet. See ya.